thank everybody for coming. I especially want to thank Governor John Bell Edwards for being with us today. This is the second time he has been with us during this difficult time, so I certainly appreciate his support. He's always been a tremendous partner for me and for the people of the city of New Orleans, and of course Superintendent Henderson Lewis, and of course other city officials and state officials that are with us. As all of you know, this is our fourth media avail today to update the public about a major power outage at the Sewage and Water Board plant. I shared with the public that this outage has the potential to compromise the capacity of our drainage on the east bank of New Orleans, west of the Industrial Canal. We're currently running on our last backup power source. As I said, this does not affect New Orleans East, the lower Ninth Ward, or Algiers. Updates have been out of the abundance of caution only because of the likelihood of rain throughout today. Due to our potential rainfall forecasted by the National Weather Service over the course of the next day, the city is urging residents in the affected areas to stay vigilant, to move their vehicles to higher ground, take necessary actions to protect personal property, and stay off the roadway during thunderstorms, unless an emergency makes it absolutely necessary to do so. At this time, drinking water, sewage service for all of the city is safe and are not affected by this outage, and we don't expect that it will be. Crews remain on site now working to repair the down turbine and secure backup power to the pumping stations. They are reporting making good progress. We're going to do everything in our power over the next few hours to secure additional equipment and to get that plant back up and in order. If all the power from Entergy continues, and we expect that it will, we will be able to handle any typical rainfall that we have. We have more than 20 megawatts of power, 38 of 58 available pumps in the areas that could be impacted, and we continue to work around the clock with General Electric and their staff to repair Turbine 1 as soon as possible. Earlier this morning, I declared a state of emergency to ensure that we had the maximum flexibility and most resources to respond to this challenge. As you know, at 9 o'clock this morning, I led an emergency meeting of the Sewage and Water Board. Number one, to get an after-action report on July 22nd and the August 5th flood events, to take additional steps to improve the drainage system. At the meeting today, the board also took serious actions and approved an emergency procurement authorization for the immediate repair of the broken pumps. They also approved the process to secure a third-party company to provide interim management of the entire sewage and water board system and to conduct an independent after-action analysis, which I promised the public we would do. We also have 14 2-megawatt pumps on the way to the city that will arrive. Generators. I apologize. 14 2-megawatt generators that are on the way to the city that are going to provide redundancy and will stay with us throughout the hurricane season or as needed as the other generators come up. Again, I want to thank Governor Edwards for standing with New Orleans on Monday. Both the governor and I, along with council members and state legislators, walked the streets of Tremé and Lakeview to visit the residents and businesses who were flooded. It is always a very difficult thing to go through, and of course we stand with them. This morning, after I learned of the threat to our drainage system, I called the governor at 1:30 a.m. He was kind enough to wake up and take my call, and immediately, as he has always done, pledged his continued and his aggressive support. So I want to thank him for that. In closing, I want to ensure the people of New Orleans that we're doing all we can to shore up our drainage system, and we will not relent in this effort. Additionally, we will work hard to mitigate and reduce the risks that remain, provide the public with accurate and with timely information while working hard to rectify any deficiencies that we have in our drainage system. So, Governor, again, thank you so much. Please help me welcome Governor John Bell Edwards.
Thank you. Mayor, I want to thank you for your work and leadership down here on this issue and many others. Out of an abundance of caution, I did sign a declaration of emergency for the parish of Orleans to make sure that the Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness is leaning forward, because if we get a heavier than expected rainfall, time will be of the essence, and so we want to make sure that we can move as quickly as possible. I do want to thank your Office of Homeland Security for working very closely with mine. Aaron Miller and Colonel Jim Loscombe have been in very frequent contact, and in fact, after I got off the phone with you, I called Jim Loscombe to get him started doing some things, and as he was making his phone calls, he was following behind what Aaron was already doing. so we're all working well together. And obviously, this is a serious situation, but it's not something to be panicked about. We're going to do everything that we can to lean forward, be as responsive as we can be to make sure that we get through this next period of time without undue problems. And we do ask Mother Nature for a little help. So I always ask people to pray, and so we can certainly do that, that we don't experience any terribly heavy rainfalls that would exceed what the capacity here is in the Gulf to handle.
Superintendent.
Henderson.
Thank you, Governor Edwards. Due to the uncertainty of pumping capacity for the East Bank of New Orleans, west of the Industrial Canal, and a rainy forecast, in consultation with the city and school leaders, the Orleans Parish School Board and the Recovery School District has determined that all public schools will remain closed, and that's for all students, for Friday, August 11, 2017. That includes both direct run and charter schools. The goal of making the decision at this time is to provide families and staff ample time to plan and secure child care for the remainder of the week. Essential personnel for both OPSB and RSD remain on duty to monitor the situation. The safety of our students and staff is our #1 priority, and this closure is being done out of an abundance of caution. As I said this morning, it's better safe than sorry. As always, we urge our families and our staff to adhere to all warnings from the city to ensure their safety.
And as I said, our Homeland Security Emergency Preparedness teams are working together. IEOC is operational and will continue to be. Of course, you saw this morning the police chief and the fire chief and EMS with us. We'll make sure that we pre-position assets in the event that something occurs quickly like it did last year. We're also working with the state to make sure we have all the resources if necessary. I do want to reiterate a couple of things. Prayer would be great, and I hope that, as the governor said, Mother Nature does bless us. But in the event that that does not happen, we're going to make sure that we have everything in place so that people are safe. I want to make sure that people understand that this is not a time to panic. In response to some criticisms that were justly levied last week, notification of what the current situation is really important so that people can pre-position assets and take responsibility as much as they can for making sure that they are safe, and in the event that an event occurs, that we're prepared to help people in the most difficult of circumstances, and we are, and we will be. So I thank all of you again, Governor. Thank you so much, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Yeah. Mr. Mayor, you mentioned at the Sewage and Water Board that you were hoping that the turbine that was affected by the fire would be up and online by the end of the day. What is the current timetable for that, and how the repairs going to it?
I don't have an exact answer for you, but it has been reported to me that repairs are going well and that they expect to try to bring it up by this afternoon and to bring it up slowly to make sure that it works. Of course, there's a lot that can happen between, as they say, the lip and the cup, and we will see. We are not relying on that. As I told you, we have ordered 14 2-megawatt generators that are on the way as we speak. When those get here, it takes a bit of time to hook those up. I don't have a date or a time for you, although I think it's going to be in the next 48 hours. So I just think we're in a risk period between now and then, and we will remain vigilant. We'll give you the information as when. I am hopeful that it will be up and operating this afternoon, but I don't want to tell you that until someone tells me that it's fixed, that they try it, and it actually works. And then we will have the kind of redundancy that we need for the rest of the hurricane season while we wait for the other 2 turbines to come up, which, as we reported today, should be, in the near future.
In regard to the fire event itself, I've had a few people ask, did it rise to the level of a structure fire?
No.
Was the fire department called at all?
No, they were not. It was an internal fire within the turbine itself. And it was a critical part.
Handled on site?
Yes, handled on site and handled quickly, as far as I know.
And any indication as to what caused it at this point?
I do not.
Anybody else? If you could just address this, there are a lot of people watching this right now who are frustrated with the process. We're not watching a tropical storm or a hurricane. It's actually sunny in some parts of the city, but faulty infrastructure is the reason why we're here today and why you're addressing this, urging people to be cautious. Is that I don't want to say it's the new norm, but you understand people's frustrations that they're leaving their kids home and they're parking their cars on neutral grounds when the sun's shining outside.
Well, of course, this is one of the frustrations we had last week when people said, well, why didn't you tell us the storm was coming? I think the National Weather Service said they couldn't even see it as well. So, of course, one of the challenges that the governor and I share every time there's a hurricane threat is to go or not to go. And by the way, if you go and something doesn't happen, people say, why did you send me out too soon? So just in terms of emergency operation response, it's complicated. So, of course, we understand people's anxiety, but at the same time, if you don't warn people and you don't give them a heads up, then they get frustrated about that too. The second part the point that I would like to make is that right now the nation is having a robust discussion about the need for massive infrastructure improvements across the entire United States of America. We have a $5 trillion infrastructure deficit, and Congress right now is arguing about the depth and the breadth of that, and they haven't made much progress. But our sewer system and our infrastructure is Exhibit A in how damaged our infrastructure is and has been over a long period of time, and in how much money we have invested. We are in the process, as you know, in the city of one of the most expensive rebuilds. We have been spending $150 million at the Sewage and Water Board for this particular purpose, but it takes time. And you have old machines that go down. And so yes, this has been with us for a very, very long time. As we do the after-action report, we will look at the amount of money that's going to be required to fix the whole drainage system. The answer is we don't have enough. And then how we triage that. We have the same discussion about our roads. As we said, we've had $2 billion to rebuild our sewer and drainage system, which we're working on, but it's a $9 billion problem. And so this will continue for a very long period of time in terms of how to get the infrastructure in place. In the meantime, though, one of the things that we have to do is find redundant energy supplies to make sure that we have what we need, and we're going to continue to do that as aggressively as we can.
Just if I could
Yes.
get one clarification, something that you mentioned this morning. Were you saying that you wanted to get a third-party team in to manage the Sewage and Water Board for the interim, or a third party to do an after-action report?
I said I want both, and we're going to do both. We will bring in a team that will help us begin managing and overseeing the interim management, and we will also have a third-party independent analysis so that we all could have a better level of trust about the information that we're getting, which all of you know has changed far too much in a very short period of time for me to feel comfortable with. I have not felt comfortable in the last couple of days with the information we're getting, which is why I went to the plant last night and saw and listened myself, and then got together with other folks so that I could begin to report as accurately as I could based on the information that was given to me what was happening. It's also why I decided to start to notify the public, while hopefully not panicking them, of what the risks are and making sure that they knew that we're bringing backup as well. None of this, at the end of the day, even if we're operating at full capacity, can be done without people cooperating and working with each other. So again, in the event that we have an event, not driving through standing water, helping people out, pre-positioning your car, all of those things we need to do together. But as the governor said, if with great prayer and a lot of hard work, we hopefully will be okay.
After this,
Last one.
After this, what does it take for people to restore trust and confidence in the Sewage and Water Board after things that have happened over the last month, from July 22nd to Saturday to today?
Well, I would say this, that it's important for people to stay focused on the big picture, because it's critical. We have critical infrastructure needs which have been with us for a long, long time, pre-Katrina and post-Katrina. Secondly, the event last week was so incredibly significant that even if the Sewage and Water Board was giving us good information and there was appropriate notice, people would still have gotten significantly damaged. Having said that, I think all of us agree that when there's a credibility problem, it's really hard to get back. You then just have to go back in, you have to unpeel it, you have to find out where the deficiencies are, you have to fix that, but those fixes alone are not going to bring us to where the city needs to be in terms of infrastructure improvements. And by the way, even on our best day, it is still a risk reduction system, because nobody can guarantee to anybody that there's not something that's going to happen that can potentially hurt us. It's about giving people information, and we'll continue to work on it as we go forward. All right, thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Bye, you guys. Thank you.